Why, hello there. The other day, I saw Shame, and I really enjoyed it. I'm going to give it a solid 8. I don't see a reason why not. Shame is about a sex addict. The life and struggles of a sex addict is basically what it's about. I mean, he struggles with work, he struggles with keeping a relationship with his sister, he struggles with, well, it would appear he struggles with everything, but women. He has no problem with women, except that that is the problem. That's what it's about. I mean, that's the setting. What it's about is self-destruction, the struggle for humanity, what does it mean to be human, maybe? It's very heavy and very, well, it's a thinker, you know, I'll put it that way. It's a thinker. I'm still thinking about it, and not for the obvious reasons. Stars Michael Fassbender, who's just blew up this year. It looks like he'll probably get a Oscar nomination for Best Actor, which I totally agree with. I don't see how he couldn't. He just blew up this year. I think this is probably his third major role of the year. And he still got, he had a movie open today, or yesterday. So, again, he's everywhere right now. Also stars Carey Mulligan as his sister. She's from An Education. She's very good. Who else was in there? A couple character actors that I recognize. I don't know their names. And a slew of some of the most beautiful women in the world. It's rated NC-17. You know, that's the big to-do about this movie, is that it's NC-17. I can't think of the last NC-17 movie that came out. I believe it was some vampire movie that was big in the gay community. I can't remember the name of it, but I'm pretty sure that was NC-17. That came out a few years ago. So, I went to it. There was a lot of single dudes in the audience. This was an afternoon show. There was like one old lady in the theater, and she sat down the aisle from me, and she made for an entertaining watch. She did not leave, though. I really gave her props. No one left, even though this is a sensitive subject matter. It got its NC-17 for abundant nudity and sex. This is a Hollywood film. I have no doubt that the sex was simulated, but it oftentimes appeared not to be. Though, sometimes they do make movies without simulated sex, with actual sex. What was that? Short Bus? Did you see Short Bus? That had actual sex in it. As did, The Brown Bunny. So movies do tend to have actual sex sometimes, so I don't know. Was directed by Steve McQueen. Not that Steve McQueen, he's long dead. But Steve McQueen, I would have to assume that he's British. I believe this is his second film. I'm not sure. His first film, which the title escapes me, but also starred Michael Fassbender. I have to imagine that Michael Fassbender is his muse. He also co-wrote the film. I can't remember who he co-wrote it with. Anyhow, Steve McQueen, fine direction. Steve McQueen is obviously an artist, a man with something to say. There's a lot to think about in this film. Again, there's a lot of primal satisfaction, again, for men, and I suppose women as well, but I'm not a woman. But there is a lot of primal satisfaction for men to be found in this film. But there's also a lot of disturbing things. That's what I really liked about the film, is that he lives this perfect lifestyle. Well, I mean, he has what could be this perfect life, except that he has this, again, addiction. And it was always that old joke that, can you be a sex addict? Well, this guy is a sex addict, and if a sex addict's life is really like this, then I'm glad I'm not a sex addict. It would be very hard, and even lonelier. Incredibly lonely. He has these encounters which could be described as, again, the prototypical male fantasy. And he is just in hell. He's in hell. And you can see that. That's what's so impressive about the film, is just this tour de force performance from Fassbender. He's all over the map, and when he's just trying to get his fix, when he's trying to seduce his next lady, you can definitely see a multi-layer performance going on. One, he's trying to score, so he's being as charming and seductive and as mysterious as possible. But there are always these little flashes, glances of what I could only describe as hollowness. It just... Hold on just one second. Hello? How are you? Yes. Okay, cool. Be there. And there's always just this inhumanity that just kind of creeps in. It really just kind of gives you the creeps. And to do that at the same time, I think, is impressive. I lost my point earlier. That's what I really liked. There's these shuttle shifts in tone that kept me guessing about where the film was going. For a while, I thought it was going to be like a horror film, because, again, a man who has sex with random women every single day probably has a lot of baggage. And I thought that baggage was going to come back and haunt him several times, but it never did. And so the tone just, again, shifts drastically for short periods of time. And it really keeps you off or on the balls of your feet, kind of wondering what is going to happen next. I kind of gotta hurry. The reason I'm not giving it a higher score is that I thought there were some loose ends to the story. The movie has a very open ending. Of course, I'm not going to spoil anything, but it has a very will he or won't he ending. There's no easy out. Which is fine. I don't mind that about the future of the character, but there were stories introduced that never really came to a satisfactory conclusion for me. Again, it kind of fit in with the whole, keeping you wondering what is going to happen, which is how I imagine the character felt. I always think it's an accomplishment if the director can make the audience feel as though they were the character, and do that through tonal shifts and storytelling, I suppose. There's just storylines like with his boss that I think are going somewhere, but then don't. But again, the story is about him. There's a run-in with, men in sunglasses and suits that I thought something was going to happen with. That never really came to fruition. Really, it does focus on his relationship with his sister. Really, it's his struggle for humanity. He is not human. He is inhuman. And maybe that's the true tragedy of being a sex addict. He cannot maintain any human relationship, even with his own sister. And his own sister, the relationship with his sister is tragic. And even then, there are moments, again, where you think something's going to happen, and then the opposite does. So, very smart filmmaking. Manipulative in the best way. I don't really know what else to say. I think any man will probably want to see this. Well, first of all, because they'll be like, oh man, I want that to be my life. But then by the end of it, it's like, you would not want this to be your life, at all. At all. So, I'm recommending it. I would assume that most men will see this verbatim, just because. But I think there's a lot to be mined from it. There's a lot to think about. It's very heady. There's Carey Mulligan's great. Everyone does full frontal nudity. There's just so much nudity in this movie, which is obviously why it's NC-17. There's some cursing. There's some gore, but man, it's just wall to wall dong and boobs. Really, just wall to wall. And again, it's just gorgeous. It's gorgeously photographed. So you're watching the best Skinamax film available. And again, they do have some of the most beautiful women in the world just, practically degrading themselves. So it's definitely rewarding on that level. But if you go into it with that mindset, perhaps you will be even more affected by it, because I think it does a great job at just, again, taking out all of the intimacy. There's a lot of sex in this movie, but there's only brief glimpses of intimacy. And when there is intimacy, he cannot function. He cannot function. So it's just sex. And even that, it doesn't even appear to be enjoyable sex. It's just sex. Fassbender's great. I found this to be a lot like his performance in A Dangerous Method. He probably did them relatively back to back, and easy for him to be in that headspace. But to be in that headspace for that long, maybe 6 months, half a year, I believe he deserves the props. He was fantastic in the film. I'm running out of time. I don't really know what else to say. I really enjoyed it. Definitely a highlight of the year. I'm still thinking about it. It's one to remember. Surely it will get awards attention. So that's Shame. It's a solid 8. Really enjoyed it. Thanks.